on the topic experiential learning. Please just give me 2 seconds so that I can share my screen and we can go for the PowerPoint presentation based on experiential learning. Okay, is my screen visible to all of you? Teachers, is my screen visible to all of you?
Yes,
Am I
it's
audible?
visible
Yes, ma'am.
and you are audible.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Okay, so that today's topic is experiential learning in practice. We do not learn from experience, we learn from reflecting on experience. It was said by John Dewey. Now, what is meaning of an experiential learning? Experiential learning. Okay, before going to the meaning of experiential learning, today we are going to talk about meaning of experiential learning, objectives of experiential learning, Coach's theory of experiential learning, the experiential learning cycle, the experiential learning style, benefits of experiential learning, how to apply experiential learning in the classroom, some ways to reflect experiential learning for teachers, other places where we can apply learning theory. And at the end, we are going to recapitulate whatever we have learned in this webinar. Meaning of experiential learning. Experiential learning is a learning theory that provides an alternative to more traditional learning models. So we thought we had explored what the experiential learning cycle looks like. The benefits of this model of learning and how to apply it in different areas of life. Experiential learning is a powerful way to keep and help people identify changes required to their skills, attitudes, and behavior, and then implement those changes for better performance. Usually, when we talk about experiential learning, the word experiential is based on experience and experiments. Experiential learning is simply quiet learning by doing. We have learned to walk a talk, not by being shown or told, but by practicing and refining our techniques. Gradually, when we were toddlers, when we were very small kids, our father, our parents, they used to make us practice on how we should walk or what should we talk. We learned our mother languages, our mother tongue languages from our parents. It was not like when we were small and we learned it usually. We were taught how to walk, how to talk, and that was based on experiential learning. We started with experiential learning when we were toddlers, when we were very, very small. Consequently, trainers and facilitators can implement this method in all sorts of situations with people from all walks of life. It's not like experiential learning should always be done in school or in colleges. We can do experiential learning in every phases of our life, whether it is adulthood, whether it is the adolescent age, when we are getting old, or when we are practicing any new things. We can practice it anywhere. What changes will take place in students? Before coming to the part of education, we should learn about experiential learning in the form of educational places. Experiential learning is the idea that experiences are generated through our ongoing interactions and engagement with the world around us. And learning is an inevitable product of experience. This theory of learning is different from cognitive and behavior learning theories, as it takes a more holistic approach. It considers the role that all of our experiences play in our learning, including our emotions, cognition, and environmental factors. Before coming to the changes which will happen in students, let's come to our age group. When we were very small kids and we were told we are going to go to school, we were left in the front of school gate and we had to buy and we had to say bye to our parents. And then we had the female and the male teachers in front of us. We didn't knew what we were only taught what is Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. We were taught a poem. But then how did we learn that poem? By all the actions, by all the skills, by the dancing skills, by the singing skills. Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. So this was done with the basis on the basis of actions. And the students, when we were small kids, we could easily grasp it. So, when we talk about the changes which take place in students are experiential learning may cause students to change old habits, question old ideas, and explore new ways of thinking. So, now when we talk about the new ways, it's not a very long ago when we were facing through COVID 19. The teachers always knew how to teach the students on the basis of blackboards, chalks, and dusters. Gradually, we came to a new era where as a teacher, we were introduced to the COVID 19 rules, lockdown, online classes, Google Meet, Zoom, Microsoft Team. All this were very, very new. But what is that is experiential learning in our languages. It makes us to change our old habits and question the old ideas and see now in the era of online classes we have explored new ideas where we can indulge all the students in the creative way even when they are not in front of us. In experiential learning, there are no barriers due to age, education, experience, ability, background, or culture. Within the field of education development, experiential learning can be best defined as developing personal understanding, knowledge, skills, and attitudes through the analysis of reflection on activity. We can easily know what are the students doing in the online. Generally, when the online classes had started in the COVID era, experiential learning was very tough for us. But then gradually we came to know how can we check the responses of the students, how can we check like they are participating or not. Gradually the exploring idea, the experimenting idea gave a new chance over there. What experiential learning is not. Now, before these two slides, we were learning about what was experiential learning. Now we will come to know what experiential learning is not. One of the quickest way to highlight the ways in which the experiential learning differs from other methodology is to take a look at what it is not. Experiential learning is not the writing of new information onto the blank slate of your mind. Like, for example, we know that mango can be of yellow color, grapes can be of green color. We were taught this thing when we were very in the childhood times. And since we are grown ups, we still say that mango is in yellow color, grapes are in green in color. But there are chances when mangoes are also green in color, and there are chances that grapes are also in the purple color or in the violet color. Changes may occur. So, just before that, before giving any assumptions or conclusions, we cannot just write it anywhere. We should not give our conclusions before experiencing or before any experimenting. We cannot simply say that yes, this chair is blue in color where the other chairs can be red in color also. A proper exploring, a proper experimenting, and a proper experiencing should be done before giving any conclusions. Nor experiential learning is not the act of memorizing an immutable bank of knowledge. Like, for example, in every educational subjects, we have certain theories to learn. We can learn history and civics, we can learn English literature, we can learn Hindi literature. But when it comes to maths, we cannot learn it, we cannot memorize it. We can memorize the formulas, but we cannot memorize the whole sums over there. We cannot memorize the account, we cannot memorize the whole sums in accounts. Or even in the science subjects, we can only learn the theories, but we cannot improvise whole memorizing power over there. Certain things should not be memorized. Like, for example, in maths, when the child is in the pre-primary section, we teach them 2 plus 2 equals to 4. And the students are very much agreeing to it. Yes, it's 2 plus 2, 4. And some of them memorize it very easily. But what if the question or the digits are changed over there? If the teacher gives 1 plus 3, then the child will be confused if he's in the habit of memorizing everything. So that's why we always do experiential learning so that even the child can experiment. He can calculate the sum and he can get the idea as 1 plus 3 equals to 4. EL is not a passive process that happens to a learner. Rather, it is an active process that engages them and invites participation. Now, as the webinar will go ahead, we will learn about different skills and different ways where we can include students, where we can include teamwork, where we can give them some creativity, some creative work for their active participation. It's not like a passive process, like we have taught them and they will just revise it. No, experiential learning is an active process. It goes on a continuous basis. You cannot stop it. You cannot just end it in anywhere. It's an ongoing process. And the best part of experiential learning is on daily, day-to-day basis, you can learn different things. The world is having vast technologies, whether it is online or offline. We can go through that. Now, what's required for experiential learning to take place? So, do you know structure your structure and experience in a way that makes experience learning possible? First of all, going through that, we will learn about who brought the experiential learning cycle. It was brought by David Kolbs. David Kolbs was an American educational theorist who published his ideas about experiential learning in 1984. David Allen Kolb is an American educational theorist whose interests and publications focus on experiential learning, the individual and social change, career development, and executive and professional education. Kolb's learning style are one of the best known and widely used learning style theories. David Kolb first outlined this theory of learning styles in 1984. He believes that our individual learning style emerges due to our genetics, life experience, and the demands of current environment. The experiential learning cycle. Now, as you can see in the presentation, Kolb's, Kolb's possessed a four-fold process for learning the experiential learning cycle, moving from the concrete to the abstract. Kolb stresses that all four phases of the cycle must work together to create a complete learning process. The first process over here is concrete experience. Then we have reflective observation. Then we have abstract concept conceptualization, and then we have active experimentation. Now, before coming to the detailed part of this whole experiential learning cycle, the concrete experience over here means try to see. Concrete experience means a concrete activity or the real world situation, observing or participating with practitioners, enacting characters or role playing, immersive gaming or 3D modeling, data collection or methodologies. Now, when we talk about concrete experience, it's basically what we see, what we are seeing around us. That is concrete experience. Then, like for example, a pen is kept in front of us and we just look at it and we get an idea that yes, it's a pen. Then we have reflective observation, like for example, analyze the experience, structured reflection on what was undertaken, journaling, informal dialogue circles, peer review opportunities, critical questioning. Generally, what happens when we see something in front of us, we start analyzing it, we start imagining it, what we can do with this, what we can write with this. For an example, if I am seeing a pen in front of us and I have been given a topic to write, I will think about it. I will just think like what can I write with this pen? What kind of ideas I can get through this? So the basically when we talk about reflective observation, it comes under when we see something, how do we analyze it? What we can imagine it? What kind of ideas we are getting through it? Then the next part is abstract conceptualization. It means connecting ideas. Now, what happens? Like, for example, in Google, we have art and craft ideas kind of app over there. When we go through it, we can make the students travel whole world and museums and different parts of the world in online basis. So, in the first place, in the concrete experiences, he can see that thing. In reflective, he analyzes everything, he imagines everything. And in the third process, he connects to the ideas, like what we can do and where it can connect to. And then the fourth part is active experimentation. It's basically plan action and test it. Trying or testing what you have learned. Imagining next steps to a project. Applying knowledge to alternative context. representing knowledge in multiple forms, and writing projects. Concrete experience, I can explain it in the form of English language. We are discussing with the students the part of verb. And when we introduce the verb as action words in front of students, so they just connect it. Okay, like for example, if I'm just writing in the blackboard with a chalk, this I will tell this is an action, and the students will have an idea. Okay, for example, the teacher is writing that is an action, and it is called as verb. Then I will tell them in the reflective observation, I will tell them to do any 10 activities, any 10 actions, and they will just note down all the actions they have done over there. Now, that is as analyzing the experience. They are completely analyzing what they are doing. And after that, they will connect to the ideas. Like they have done 10 activities, 10 actions, like playing basketball. So they are getting ideas. Okay, playing basketball is a kind of an action. And teacher has told action word equals to verbs. So they will connect the ideas from the concrete observation and reflecting observation. So they will connect it. And this third, when we connect ideas, it will fall under the category of abstract conceptualization. And in the fourth one is active experimentation. In this active experimentation, the teachers can share the live worksheets, the simple worksheets, the grammar worksheets, and they can ask the students to complete the exercises, or we can take a test on by the students in test modes where they will answer everything, and then gradually we will have the idea how much the student has understand the topic. So these are the four cycles of experiential learning: concrete experience, reflective observation, abstract conceptualization, and active experimentation. The Kolb's experiential learning cycle is basically based on moving from concrete to abstract and then to real life experiences. Factors such as our personalities, education level, career, culture, and more can affect our learning preferences. So, the Kolb learning style inventory link suggests that there are 9 different ways to navigate the learning cycle. In the previous slide, we came to know about the experiential learning cycle. Now, in this, we are going to learn about the 9 different ways in which we can navigate the students and we can explore the new ideas. Like the first one, you may find meaning in experience and relationships. Therefore, you thrive on a teamwork and emotional connection with others. For example, Google Art and Culture, a virtual field trip. Now, as a teacher, we can always go to Google App, and there is a website called as Google Art and Culture. It's basically a virtual field trip where we can take the students in an online field trip where they can imagine, where they can explore the different ideas. The link has been given in the slide. Let me show you for once. Like, for example, I have taken the topic Trip to the Moon 1966. Is my screen visible to everyone? Is my screen visible to everyone over here? Okay, so when we talk about Google Arts and Culture, Trip to the Moon 1966. In this, we have gone to the moon's. The moon is Earth's largest natural satellite, formed when a Mars-sized planet collided with Earth. So in this way, there are different kinds of slides performed where they can see, where they can imagine, and they can have a virtual ride. Like in the above slides, an explanation has been given to them, and the photos and pictures are shared with them. Tap to explore. If we tap over here, they can explore to the different parts of the space. Then we can see the gases which are not present in Earth's atmosphere at all. So basically, this app helps us to take the students to a virtual field trip in Google. It's not only they can go to the moon, there are different topics where they can go and they can have a trip over there. Then imagine, now when we were going in a virtual field trip from Google Art and Culture, they came to know they can experience different parts over there. Then the second part is imagining. You learn the most from observing and reflecting on experiences, and you tend to work with an empathetic and creative mindset. Like, for example, in Standard 5, we were teaching the students from a story, The Ghost of the Mountains. And we made them explain like how many types of endangered and extinct species are there. Now, from Google Art and Culture, they can go to a virtual trip of endangered species and they can learn and experience and imagine the animals which are endangered and the animals which have become extinct. Then analyzing. Now, once the student has experienced and imagined everything, we need to analyze like how much they have learned from the experiences, how much they have planned to and how much they have learned and how much they have understood the chapter. So for that, we have the third way to navigate, which is called as analyzing. You like to think systematically and critically about your experiences and then plan to minimize mistakes and test assumptions. Now, we can test the assumptions through test modes or Google Forms. Now, test modes, when we talk about test modes, one second. Now, when we talk about test modes lets you choose whether to display all the questions at once or one per page. You can set a time limit and specify the most number of time a student can take your test. When the student finishes, you can choose to display their score, their responses, the explanations, and the correct answers. Testmos is a small time test generating and taking tools. Learners and users are able to easily create a test online, add questions, and edit the test in multiple ways. Then save a link to give the test to students. Now, the next we have is reflecting. When we are using the fourth way of navigation style, it's reflecting. You are patient and careful, preferring to observe others and gather different perspectives and information before acting. Now there are three different live worksite screenshots I have shared in the PowerPoint presentation. In the first, we have maths. There are different kinds of maths questions, problem sums question. In the Hindi live worksheet, we have Hindi unseen passage, which is called as Apitit Gadyansh. And in the third live worksheet, we have science, that is regarding the respiratory system for standard 5 and standard 6 gradually. Now, what is the purpose of doing live worksheets? Now, the purpose of doing live worksheet is it allows you to transform your traditional printable worksheets, that is document, PDF and JPG, into interactive online sessions with self-correction, which we call interactive worksheets. Students can do the worksheets online and send the answers to the teachers. The advantages of worksheets are effective tool of long lasting learning, help students to engage, improvement in grades, promotes active learning, and raises interest level of the student. So now when we talk about live worksheets, it is basically the interactive worksheets where in the COVID time we explored live worksheets where we can interact with the students on the online basis and they can solve the whole worksheet and they can discuss the answers with the respective subject teachers. Now the advantages of the worksheets. It is effective tool of long lasting learning and basically it's very creative. Students are very much attracted towards the creativity or any kind of new thing when they are learning. So basically it gives a long impact on effective learning. Then it helps the students to engage when they see something new which is online or basically a way of teaching the students through games or through quizzes or this live worksheets. They find it very interesting and this live worksheets help the students to engage. Improvement in grades. Now, basically, when you see live worksheets, students answer promptly over there. They are very active. They try to learn it. They try to answer it. So gradually, it gives a long impact on the educational purpose for the students and it improves the learning grades and it gives an improvement in the learning grades. It promotes active learning because when the students are solving the live worksheets, they're active. They're not simply sitting quietly, they're active. They give the answers. So it promotes active learning, raises interest level of the students. The students are very highly interested in answering the questions and learning new things when it's completely high tech. As we are in the 21st century, we are having different technologies and different apps. And in this way, students can learn in the new era. They can simply explore, and this gives them a new kind of feeling that they can explore new areas, new ideas, new creativity skill. So it increases the interest level on the educational factor. Now, in the next slide, we have thinking. This is the fifth point for navigation learning. You generally frame arguments using logic and reasoning and enjoy using quantitative tools to make judgments and communication of your ideas. Now, I have shared three different types of sheets over here. Fruits crossword, which can be used in pre-primary section by the teachers. Like once we have explained them what are fruits, how many different types of fruits are there, what are the colors of fruits, how do they look. We can give them fruits crossword when they come to standard UK, when they come to UKG as the recapitulation part. It is basically a new kind of a thing they will learn. They will learn what, and the basic part of crossword is students learn what is vertical and what is horizontal also. They learn how to give the ideas. Then a crossword on opposites. It can be used by the teachers from 1 to 5. We basically teach them opposites in the English literature. We usually give them the antonyms and we ask them what is the antonym of happy or what is the opposite of long or what is the opposite of um, what is the opposite of glowing. Instead, we can also share this crossword puzzles with them where the words will be given and they have to write the antonyms or the opposites of the word to the boxes, inside the boxes. Then we have a puzzle over there for the months of the year. It can be used from 1 to 5. The students know, gradually they learn that there are 12 months in a year. And we will share this whole puzzle worksheet with them, and we will find them to where is January, where is February, and they will certainly search over there. Now, what will be the benefit by this? Many of them will think, oh, this is a very hectic process. They will not learn it, they will not solve it. But no, they will do it and they will learn it also, because it's basically an active process, doing and learning. When they will search the words in the puzzles, they will remember that January is a part of the month of the year. February, when they will search for February, they will even learn the spelling of February while solving the crosswords, while solving the puzzles and finding out the puzzle words from there. They will learn that yes, February is also a part of the month of year. So eventually, there will be three benefits. First of all, active learning. Spelling mistakes will be reduced. There will be no spelling mistakes. There will be an active learning problem over there. There will be no problem on active learning. Crosswords, the basic part of crosswords and puzzles for including in experiential learning is crosswords strengthen gives the strength to the vocabulary and students and adults. A larger vocabulary in turn can increase your processing speed and abstract thinking. We can also give the students a time limit. Like, for example, if we are giving you 20 minutes and solve this puzzle over there. So, what will happen? It will generally increase their processing speed and abstract thinking. This kind of mental boost can lead to greater professional success as well. Crossword puzzles work on problem solving, patience, and persistence. There are some crossword puzzles where you instantly know the answer, and others where you have to do some attentive work to solve the clue. Like, for example, when we do crossword puzzles, there are different kinds of opposite words given over there. We have to be attentive over there, and we have already given the clue to the students, and they have to simply solve those crossword puzzles with the help of that clue. It will raise their mindset up, it will increase their grasping power. Then, in the months of the year, it will increase the vocabulary power. Now, crossword and puzzles gives a great satisfaction and confidence to kids when they solve a puzzle. It enhances skills like reasoning, problem solving, and developing solutions. The skills are useful in later life too. Crosswords also help develop a problem solving skill, that is to simplify a given problem. So basically, now we can even add crosswords and puzzles for the students so that it can enhance their skills. Rather than having those activities and the question and answers which is given in their book, we can use this kind of worksheets, which is a form of experiential learning, which will make the students more attentive towards their studies and increase their vocabulary power. Now, the next thing is deciding, the sixth part of navigation cycle. You're good at decision making and like to set tangible goals and work towards them directly by planning and evaluating along the way. Now, for deciding this form, when we need to focus on this form, we can give the students picture puzzle. Like, for example, when we are teaching social science and we are teaching about the Mughal emperors or the great Indians or the great or the famous person in the whole world, we can give them a picture puzzle where the students will solve the picture with the clues given over there. And henceforth, they will learn about the different people and the different great persons. They will recognize them, they will remember their names. Picture puzzle develops literacy skills. Talking about the process and also the puzzle picture gives excellent opportunities for conversation between child and parent, child and child, and it also promotes self talk. which helps children develop their own language skills. We can do these skills in the form of online as well as offline. When we can paste a chart paper and we can bring certain thermocols and we can ask the students to place it in a proper picture. Like for example, there is an apple and we will ask them to paste the pictures in the chart paper in the correct places, and henceforth the child will eventually talk with themselves, yes, where should I put this picture, where should this picture go on the chart paper, and gradually they will learn. It will promote self talk and this will help the children to develop their own language skills. During a picture puzzle reinforces connection between brain cells and it improves the mental speed, and is an especially an effective way to improve short-term memory. Generally, what happens when there are very small children, they do not have a very strong memory power. So the jigsaw puzzles can be a very effective tool for the people who do not have a very long-term memory. Some benefits from jigsaw puzzle that may surprise you, that the students who are suffering from certain special disease like dyslexia, they can learn from jigsaw puzzle. They can learn from all these things. So it is very, very useful for us. Then the seventh navigation point is acting. You're goal oriented and seek to make accomplishments under a time constraint by assertive and committed. Now, when I was teaching the students of Standard 3, we did a role play on the topic Anansi and the spider. So, role playing is an essential in the life of children because it helps to develop empathy. While engaging in role playing activities, the children pretend to be someone else and they learn to understand and identify emotional situations. They learn to overcome fear and recognize the same environment. Now, we can perform different kinds of activities. We can give them a particular person's identification and the student have to perform on them. They have to do the role play of that famous person. So basically the benefits of this are it develops communication and language skills because when the child is doing a role play, it focuses on the language skills. It focuses on the communication skills. So it enhances it. It allows the children to act out and make a sense of real life situations. It allows the children to explore, investigate, and experiment. It also develops social skills as children collaborate with others. Now, it is also a part where students meet each other. Riddles provide social interaction and encourage communication. Riddles also encourage communication and encourage communication. When we are doing any kind of literature chapters where there's a conversation or where there are role of theater and drama, we can use this as experiential learning for creating a part of communication, a physical development and building confidence in the students. Then we have initiating. You have a spontaneous mindset and like to think on your feet and take risk in order to seek new opportunities. For this, we can give students some riddles over there. Now, when we talk about riddles, riddles provides the audience with a challenging question or statement that requires critical thinking in order to be solved. This can allow for humor to be created for the audience or to display a character's wit through the ability to create or accurately solving such challenging questions. Now, what are the benefits of riddles? When we talk about the benefits of the riddles, it introduces them to a new kind of humor. Like, for example, we can ask them, how many months of the year have 28 days? Generally, the children will answer, the students will answer February. But no, the answer will be all the months. All the 12 months have 28 days. So basically, it adds a new humor in the students. Riddles helps use their brains differently. Now, when we give them riddles, riddles create critical thinking and problem solving skills, which actually helps to raise their IQ and help them to prepare for their test. And one of my favorite benefits of riddles for kids is that it introduces them to have a love for learning. Sometimes kids don't love to learn but love to do other things, to create things. To well, creating and solving riddles is always fun, but yet an effective learning skill that they don't know they are learning. Like, for example, it's not only in students, we can do riddles for the teachers. Even we can do some workshops where we can ask the teachers certain questions on the riddles. Like, for example, what are the two things you can never eat for breakfast? Is any if any teacher wants to answer any one of the riddles, I have some riddles for you. What are the two things you can never eat for breakfast? If you want to answer, you can unmute yourself and you can answer this. What are the two things you can never eat for breakfast? Well, the answer is lunch and dinner. So we can have such humorous riddles where we can interact with the students or in any age group, and it creates a kind of a humor thinking for all of us. Now, what are the benefits of experiential learning? When we talk about experiential learning, there is more room for creativity. There are more and more creative ideas for us. It allows you to learn from mistakes. It encourages reflection and introspection. It is easier to grasp difficult or abstract concepts. It prepares you for future. Prepares you for future experiences and adult life. Teachers observe improved attitude towards learning. Now, the next slide we have is how to apply experiential learning in classroom. You have an experience. For example, when you teach a lesson, you reflect on experience. You think about what went well and not so well in the lesson. Like, for example, when as a teacher, we are going to teach a chapter in the classroom. When we complete teaching that chapter, we come to know that what went well and what did not went well in the lesson. The third you can do is critically analyze the experience. You can identify what it was that made the lesson good or bad. Sometimes what happens, we teach in such a good way that we find out certain good things which we should be kept noted. And sometimes there are certain things which went well bad in our lesson and that should also be kept noted. And then in the later purpose, we can learn from our mistakes over there and we can improve over there and we can increase our knowledge. You plan future actions based on what you have learned. Now, like for example, if we did something bad in the lesson, the chapter was not that clear, we can learn from it. And for the future purpose, we can keep a record on which we can make sure that we can have the idea on how we can improve it. Once you have decided what the problem was, you make a plan to improve and then try the same activity again with the another class. This may include creating a new plan or brushing up on your knowledge. Then some ways to reflect on our teaching experiential learning aids. Keep a learning diary of what went well or not so well in a lesson. Ask your learners for feedback on a lesson or activity. Like, for example, once you have completed your chapter, once you have completed your lesson, you can ask your students for their feedback. Make notes in your course book after each lesson. Talk through your lessons with another teacher. Ask a colleague to sit and observe your lesson. Record yourself teaching and then watch it once you have completed your lesson. Use an online journal to keep your reflective practices in one place. Notes, videos, documents, and links, everything. Now, there are other places where we can apply experiential learning theory. Like, for example, sports coaching. Experiential learning can help athletes train to the best of their abilities by offering them time to reflect on their performances. We can also apply experiential learning in workplace training. Like the works are very, very vast. So depending on the type of workplace you are at, you can learn new information from experiential learning. Then research field trip. Experiential learning theory is perfect for conducting research as it is vital to experiment, reflect, amend, and re-evaluate during a research trip or field or project. Then in learning new skills, a soft skill, the experiential learning cycle can help you to make steady progress. Now, what are the benefits of all this experiential learning in the different sectors? Like, for example, in the sports coaching, we can have a healthier nation. It will increase the long term participation in sports. It will develop valuable skills. Now, what are the benefits of experiential learning in workplace? It will increase the productivity and performance of employees. It will improve the organization structure. It will reduce the supervision and it will also give uniformity in the work process. And it will give an improved knowledge of organizational goals and objectives. When we talk about field trips provide us with huge practical experience and theoretical knowledge in different circumstances. It helps making good bonding with classmates. It also helps in improving the skills, our growth, development, and communication process. Field trip provides the student with opportunity of having first-hand knowledge of happening in our environment. It helps to generate and sustain students' interest in the subject. It also gives an aids of information to the different experiences when we go on field trips. Now, recapitulation. No matter who you are, whether you are a teacher, student, or something completely different, experiential learning can be extremely valuable. It encourages the idea that learning a lifelong process and that you don't have to stick to traditional learning methods in order to develop personally or professionally. To summarize everything we have seen so far, here's the here is what makes this learning style so special. Experiential learning is an active process which engages the learner, not a passive process that happens to be the learner. It's an experiential learning. The experience provides the platform for learning, whilst the careful analysis and reflection of the experience develops the learning. Individuals are encouraged to work things out for themselves. They are guided to and through their learning rather than being taught. Thank you.
Thank you for the session, Neha ma'am.
Thank you, Rupali. Should I leave the
Okay, ma'am, I am sending the link. Okay.
Yes. So should I leave the meeting?
Okay, it was good session, ma'am,
Okay, sir. Should I leave?
and well explained.